Hey folks, David Tao with barbend.com, and today we're talking about the only rookie in this year's CrossFit Games Finals. That's Justin Medeiros. He is 21 years old. He is incredibly fit, incredibly strong, bright future ahead of him. But we're focused on 2020. How will he do at the ranch in Aromas, California? We're going to talk about some predictions as well as his performance in stage one. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe to Barbend on YouTube. It's super simple. YouTube has those subscribe buttons they put everywhere. You're actually supposed to click those buttons and that allows you to subscribe to YouTube channels. I think I just explained how YouTube worked for the first time for some people, but yeah, that's the secret. Justin Medeiros is just 21 years old and he qualified for his first ever CrossFit Games by winning the Filthy 150 in Dublin, Ireland in late 2019. So he was actually an early qualifier for this year's CrossFit Games season. And I mean, the dude is super fit to qualify not only in the top 5 out of the stacked field of 30 men, but in 3rd place overall, edging out some real CrossFit Games veterans heading into the finals. Super impressive. We're going to break down his performance event by event. Let's talk about how Justin started off stage 1 of this year's CrossFit Games. A tie for 10th on Friendly Fran, and then 3rd place on the front squat with a lift of 437 pounds. Now, normally we're actually not used to the younger athletes in the CrossFit Games field excelling at the heavier events, oftentimes because it takes longer to build that base strength than it does their engine. But he's got a ton of leg strength for a 21-year-old, for any athlete for that matter. So some really, really promising things to start stage 1 for Justin. He actually had his worst string of finishes between Dam Diane and the 1,000 meter row, a 19th place finish on Dam Diane and a 15th place finish on the 1,000 meter row. Again, kind of middle of the pack. It's not putting him out of contention. No, bottom late 20s event finishes, but those were basically his worst 2 events and they came back to back. Nasty Nancy is where he really began to shine, a 2nd place finish overall. Justin finished tied for 11th on the handstand hold, very respectable, and then a 4th place finish on Awful Annie, which was the 7th and final event of stage 1. That was good enough for a pretty solid 3rd, and by solid I mean he was a number of points ahead of 4th place. A pretty solid 3rd place finish overall coming out of stage 1. And he's one of the top 5 men who will compete at the ranch in Aromas, California. It is worth noting he is the youngest of those 5 competitors, and also the points reset before the athletes take the field or the stage or whatever they'll have at the ranch. So even though he finished in 3rd place, he's not taking a points advantage or disadvantage in compared to the other 4 competitors. A few other interesting things about Justin Medeiros. We were actually able to catch up with him at Barbend, and we have a whole article about him, which we will link in the description below and in a card right about here, about his training the past year of his life and how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted his life as an athlete and student. He's still a college student. He's just 21 years old. The actual move to virtual and online learning has in many ways kind of been a blessing in disguise for Justin because he's able to keep up with his studies while also maintaining a really impressive high volume training load. So someone who's definitely had to adapt, he's had to move states, but he's made it work and it's certainly paid dividends as he looks to compete in his first CrossFit Games Finals. That's the story of Justin Medeiros, not the youngest competitor in the top 10 field this year. That distinction goes to Haley Adams on the women's side, but he is the only CrossFit Games individual rookie among the top 10. Pretty impressive stuff. I'm David Tao for barbend.com. Thanks for tuning in.